Hey everyone, it's Betty Louise or Coach Betty. I'm the host of Green Think Internet Radio, and you're about to hear an excerpt from one of my interviews. Please check out the full show at womenonair.biz. That's www.womenonair.biz. Hope you enjoy it. I am here with Katrina Charmatz, and she is a Pilates instructor and owns a business called Rebalance Pilates. So welcome to the show, Katrina.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Well, Pilates is becoming more and more well-known, but why don't you give us the basics on exactly what is Pilates?
Pilates is a mind and body form of body conditioning or fitness. It uses low-impact movements, and most of the time it's taught on spring-loaded machines. So you can also do Pilates on a mat, on a floor, but it was originally designed to be used on these spring-loaded resistance machines. And it was actually created by Mr. Joseph Pilates, so there was a man behind the system, and he developed it in the 40s by rehabilitating soldiers. And it was kind of interesting because he had soldiers that were in rehabilitation after getting wounded in the war, and then he had them, obviously they're laying in a bed just recovering, and he developed an idea of using springs tied to the bedposts, etc., of these, rehabilitation infirmary beds, and started conditioning them and started working the core muscles and stabilization, and it became a very wonderful way to start rehabilitating soldiers. And
oh my gosh, because they're already laying down there.
Exactly.
And it was probably a difficult thing to try to figure out, how do we get these soldiers strong while they're laying in bed?
Exactly. And then it became, he moved to New York, and then he started working with dancers. So because of the repetitive stress and a lot of dance injuries, so he started working with dancers in New York, and that became popular with dancers and other performers, and it became kind of like a strengthening system for the body without creating big, bulky muscles, because dancers rely on that elongated torso and limbs and, being very active and challenging their bodies all the time. So,
yeah.
And Pilates is really great because it's different than a gym workout where, in fact, you build strong muscles, pretty much the global muscles. Pilates works the smaller, more intrinsic, stabilizing muscles, more postural muscles, as it were.
Yeah, and as a dancer myself, I know how important it is to move from the core, from where, your passion and movement really begins from. We always tend to think that it's our hands and our arms that are moving us, but really you can begin the movement from the core. So when you say, moving from your core, how do you describe that?
The core is essentially the center of the body. So we're talking about the torso or the trunk of the body as being the core. And more specifically, those core muscles that really act to stabilize that spine are the deep abdominal muscles. So there's a series of 3 or 4 muscle groups in the abdominals. They're the transverse abdominals, that you're really deep inside the pelvis area. Kind of right behind the pubic bone, as it were, so really deep inside the abdominal area, the pelvic bowl.
And so you actually have core muscles there that Pilates, because of the spring-loaded system, really works way down deep like that, huh?
Exactly. And then there's the obliques, which allow you to twist and rotate, and then the more superficial abdominals, the rectus abdominals, which most people know as your six-pack abs. When you see those infomercials, get a great six-pack of abs in 6 seconds. Well, in fact, those are the most superficial abdominals. So it's really when you do Pilates, it's the deep ones versus the ones that take 2 seconds to work, and then you just look like you've got a nice little six-pack there. hopefully a chiseled six-pack versus like a beer six-pack.
Right.
And then also in that, in those core muscles is the pelvic floor, which is a huge element to Pilates too, is that feeling of really trying to lift up with the pelvic floor and pull those low, deep abdominals in, so you create almost like a corset feeling, so there's a real engagement of those deep abdominal muscles that support the spine and the pelvis, and help to stabilize the rest of the body, allow the joints to move more freely and unencumbered and without restriction in the ideal world.
Great. Well, this show is about bringing more consciousness to our thinking in our bodies, and that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, because I know that Pilates is very much about an awareness of how we're moving from our cores. And the other thing I like...
Or not moving from our core.
Or not. That's right, which is probably more the case.
Yeah, it's always that balance,
If you like what you've heard and want to get more information about how to be green, sustainable, conscious, check out womenonair.biz. That's www.womenonair.biz. Stay tuned.